Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level business English lesson. We're continuing to talk about cultural awareness. Today we're going to be reviewing used to, be used to, and get used to when we're describing business cultural experiences. We'll also be looking at the past perfect and some time indicators. Alright, so read the quotes and then summarize them in your own words, and you can do that in the comments if you'd like, and then say whether you agree with them or not, and why. So when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Globalization has globalized culture. So when working with people from different cultures, it's important to understand their culture and values. So read the situation below and answer the question, what mistake did the Americans make? And you can pause the video and read this on your own, or you can follow along as I read. An American company is selling a high-end product to a Korean buyer. After a day of chatting and almost making a deal, the Americans invite the Korean team to dinner at a local restaurant. When the head of the Korean company arrives at the restaurant, a junior member of the American team greets him and tells him, "Sit where you like." The next day, the Korean buyers left the US without signing the contract. What happened? So, what do you think was the mistake that the Americans made? So now we'll read the rest of this and you can see if your guess was correct. First, there are a couple of vocabulary words. Senior is an adjective meaning older or at a very high level in one's career. Junior is an adjective meaning younger or at a lower level in one's career. And the head of the table, the seat at the end of a rectangular table. So in Korean culture, a person's level is really important. So when the head or the most senior member of the Korean team was greeted by a junior member of the US team, he felt uncomfortable. Additionally, the most senior member of the Korean team is used to sitting at the head of the table next to the most senior member of the US team, so he was surprised that he wasn't given that seat. So what is the meaning of is used to in this sentence? And so try to explain it in your own words. The most senior member of the Korean team is used to sitting at the head of the table next to the most senior member of the US team. So to be or to get used to something, to be and get used to something have different meanings. To be used to something means that the situation is normal and expected. Is it hard to work the night shift? No, I am used to it. I have done it for more than a year. To get or become used to something means that a situation that was unusual at the start is becoming normal. Is it hard to work the night shift? Well, I just started last month, so I'm getting used to it. It was hard at the beginning. It's not hard anymore. I'm used to it. Or I'm still getting used to working through the night. So now we're going to practice with be used to. So read each person's statement about doing business in another country and create a sentence using be used to. And there's a note that says be careful, some sentences should be in the negative form. So Arif says, I recently moved to the Netherlands. The people here are so direct. In my country, we never say anything negative. So Arif is not used to being so direct. Thema says in Nigeria it's common to refer to people by their title, doctor, professor, etc. Now I am in Australia and it's hard for me to remember to call my business colleagues by their first name. So Thema is used to calling people by their title, not their first name. Max says, when I was working in Finland, business partners often invited me to the sauna. The first 2 or 3 times, this was very unusual to me, but after some time, I started to enjoy it. The sauna is very relaxing. So Max was not used to going to saunas with business partners. Tadala says when they are greeting others, the Japanese people bow and avoid looking them in the eye. I'm from France, where eye contact and a strong handshake are very important. So when I travel to Japan for business, I have to be very careful. So Tadala is used to shaking hands and making eye contact when meeting someone the first time. Naji says, when I do business in Korea, my host often invites me to a noraebang or a karaoke room. It feels so strange to sing in front of my business partners. So Nagi is not used to singing in front of his business partners. Felix and Rita say, we are from Brazil. We like to stand close to people when we talk, and we sometimes touch the other person's arm or back. We know this isn't polite in other cultures, though, so when we travel, we try not to do it. So Felix and Rita are used to standing close to other people when they are talking to them. So now you're going to read a blog post about the experience of Adam, an American man working in the United Arab Emirates. So what things do you think he will discuss? You can pause the video, read on your own, or you can follow along as I read. So working in the UAE, last updated September 29th, my move to the UAE. I was recently sent to the UAE for a 6-month project. I have been in the UAE for 2 months now. The business culture here is so different from the business culture in the US, and it has been hard for me to get used to some things. First, the work week in the UAE is Sunday to Thursday with a weekend on Friday and Saturday. I cannot get used to going to work on Sundays and staying home every Friday. In fact, just last week, I accidentally went to the office on a day off. Second, Islam is a big part of everyone's lives here. Salat is the Arabic word for prayer, and Muslims must perform this prayer 5 times a day, 4 times that are within the usual workday. I'm still getting used to stopping meetings for 15 minutes for people to pray. Third, business relationships here are very different from what I am used to. Business people here spend a lot of time getting to know one another before doing any business together. It's hard for me to get used to spending so much time talking about things other than business when I feel like I should be working, but I can get used to the tea, coffee, and sweet treats at meetings. So now read the statements which are true and which are false. So people in the UAE work on Sundays. According to the article, that's true. In the UAE, people still work on their days off. That's false. People in the UAE usually pray 5 times during the workday. That's false. It's 5 times a day, but only 4 of those fall within the workday. People in the UAE say a short prayer every 15 minutes. That's false. People in the UAE like to know people well before doing business with them. True. People in the UAE sometimes have snacks for meetings. True. And Adam doesn't like tea or coffee. That is false. So look again at the text, and can you find any examples of Adam using the phrase used to? So here he says, I cannot get used to going to work on Sundays. I am still getting used to stopping meetings. And here, very different from what I am used to. It's hard for me to get used to spending so much time talking, but I can get used to the tea, coffee, and sweet treats. And don't forget about the other way that we can use used to. Used to plus a verb without be or get expresses a repeated action or state in the past that has now changed. He used to work in New York, but now he works in Tokyo. So I worked in New York in the past. So in the positive, I used to arrive at the office at 9 a.m. Now I arrive at 8 a.m. The negative, I didn't used to wear a business suit to work, but now I do. And the question, did you used to work so much at your last job? And so notice the spelling difference in the negative and question forms. All right, so we're going to listen to the first part of an episode of the World Business Podcast discussing what it's like to do business in other cultures. So you'll listen and then answer the questions.
So, Fred, what brought you to Tokyo?
My business transferred me here 5 years ago to help open a new office. I was planning to be here for only a few months, but I decided to stay longer.
It must be such a big difference working in Japan after working in the U.S.
Yeah, I needed to get used to a lot of things.
Play it once more.
So, Fred, what brought you to Tokyo?
My business transferred me here 5 years ago to help open a new office. I was planning to be here for only a few months, but I decided to stay longer.
It must be such a big difference working in Japan after working in the U.S.
Yeah, I needed to get used to a lot of things.
All right, so who is Fred Wilson? He is an American businessman. Why did Fred move to Tokyo? He was helping his business open an office. And how long has he lived in Tokyo? For 5 years. All right, we're going to listen to the second part of this interview. So what is the meaning of the word hierarchy? What does Fred say about the hierarchy in Japan? And then you'll answer these true-false questions.
What was the biggest surprise for you?
I think I was most surprised by the importance of hierarchy here. For example, Japanese people greet each other in an order based on their position. The most senior person, usually the oldest one, is greeted first, and the most junior person, usually the youngest person, is greeted last.
Yeah, I can understand why that might be a surprise for someone from the U.S.
Okay, so what's the meaning of the word hierarchy? Just means like a person's standing within a group, maybe their seniority or the age. According to Fred, hierarchy is important in Japan. That is true. In Japan, you should greet the most junior person first and the most senior person last. That's false. It's just the opposite. And before going to Japan, Fred was used to greeting the oldest people first. No, that's false because he said he had to get used to that. All right, now you're going to complete the text with the correct form of the verb after used to, and then once you finish, you can restart the video and listen to check your answers. And before you do that, we have a vocabulary word, feedback, which is a noun, a person's opinion about something, which is often used to improve it. So go ahead, pause the video, fill in the blanks, and then when you're ready to continue, restart and listen to check your answers.
Yeah, and Japanese people would never say anything negative about someone senior to them. I remember when I worked in the US, I used to have one-on-one meetings with my employees every month to see how they were doing. I used to start the meetings by asking, "Do you have any feedback for me?" My employees in the US were honest and direct. In Japan, I tried to do the same thing, but the employees were surprised that I asked them that, and they never gave me any negative feedback.
Because you were senior to them?
Yes, because I was senior to them, but also because the Japanese communication style is indirect, which is very different from the direct American style. They weren't used to giving their opinion about things they didn't like.
Alright, so now discuss the questions below and use used to where appropriate. And again, you can write your answers in the comments. Have you ever worked in a different country? And have you ever started a new job where there were things that you needed to get used to? And here are a couple of examples of the types of sentences you might write. I used to have a private office at my last job, but at my new job, everyone works in one big open office. It's hard to get used to working with others always around. And the other example, I used to dress formally for work, but at my new job, I can wear whatever I want. I'm still getting used to wearing jeans and a hoodie to the office. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, leave comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.